You got to love that Auburn's not backing down from pursuing the top quarterbacks in the country.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Happy Charlie Tuesday to all who celebrate. We were joined by Auburn message board legend, the Charlie 5. You can find him over at thebarnauburn.com. Go subscribe. Today, we're talking 2026 Cruton, baby, because it is heating up. We are turning away from the transfer portal and looking ahead to Auburn's, hopefully, next great class. We'll talk about Tank Jones, the number one player in the state, as well as C.D. Morgan. Oh, my goodness. Please, please, please consider the Auburn Tigers.
Lord.
But let's start with Jared Curtis because he's one of the top quarterbacks in the class, and Ken Austin just visited, and I feel like you should start every conversation around quarterbacks. It doesn't seem like Auburn's a front runner for Jared Curtis, the standout quarterback from Nashville Christian. But man, they're knocking on the door. They're going to do everything they can to say, hey, Jared Curtis, you're going to have to tell us no, because we're going to continue to pitch Auburn over and over and over again.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's all accurate. Auburn definitely wants him. You sent a coach the first day you could talk to him. He's the top. I think he is the number one quarterback in the class of 2026. So looking to keep stacking them. I don't know how much. I don't know. I think I'm changing my opinion on the necessity of trying to get the top quarterback every single year. When I'm looking at the way the portal works out, I'm almost wondering if.
Oh no!
I'm almost wondering if.
Oh no!
I don't know. I'm almost wondering if this is. I mean, obviously, I'd take him. I'd be excited about it, but I'm almost wondering if, you're not necessarily towards the top. You got Ohio State. You got all these guys going after him. Is it worth it? I don't know. I haven't quite made up my mind yet.
Is it worth it from an NIL point of view? Is it worth it from an effort and time and manpower point of view?
All those things.
Yeah. I mean, the quarterback market in the portal is truly fascinating. And I mean, Auburn's already going to be balancing several different dynamics. And I mean, obviously, Jackson Arnold has another year left of eligibility. Deuce Knight, we hope, is going to be even closer to being, SEC ready a year from now when Jared Curtis, whoever is the quarterback in this class, like you just got to think he's going to want to play earlier than that. I don't think, I think gone are the days where you having multiple really talented quarterbacks that are young at the same time. I just don't think that's going to happen too often. And it's like, I'd rather have a Deuce Knight that's been a year in the system than somebody like this. Obviously, I would take them both, but I don't think it's an and discussion at this point. I think it's an or discussion. And so I'm kind of there with you.
Now, would it be more ideal that in 2027? No, hold on. Yeah, 2028, I guess. If Jackson Arnold plays,
is that even a real year?
If Jackson Arnold plays 2 seasons, no, it would be 2027. If Jackson Arnold plays 2 seasons, would it be more ideal to have Deuce and Jared Curtis competing for that starting spot? Absolutely.
Yes.
But what are the chances you keep both of them? Like, so I almost think, I know this is going to sound crazy and maybe I'm dumb for this, but it almost seems like you need to go after a Jared Curtis every other year and then bring in a quarterback every year. But like, I'm just thinking of a guy, I'm thinking of what's the biggest recruiting impact that I can make in that off year. And to me, Landon Duckworth out of Jackson High School, it seems like the biggest no-brainer to me of any quarterback in this class. He's an Alabama prospect. Huh?
Okay. Why is that?
Because he's an Alabama prospect, number one. He's got very, very talented teammates that are in the same class, number two. His name in your traditional recruiting area, his name would mean a lot. And then he's got the upside that he could possibly be a good quarterback. He's got a lot of tools, but I think you could get him. I think you could get him and kind of continue this in-state domination thing. But you don't necessarily have to rely on the fact that maybe he's not going to be, maybe he won't. I hate to even say this because I guess he could, but you're not necessarily relying on him, needing him to be the guy anytime soon. I don't know. I hate the idea of like going into these big NIL battles and then money just sitting there on the sidelines waiting. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm with you.
You gotta moneyball this thing. And I'm almost wondering, you spend all this time and effort, and then what if you spend all this time and effort, what's the greatest odds that this kid's actually going to play for Auburn? And I don't know that going back to back to back with a bunch of 5 stars is I know that's antithesis.
What a wild thing to say, but I think there's a lot of logic in it.
I can't even believe I'm having this conversation, but after I'm watching it play out, not only at Auburn, but across the country.
Yeah, I mean, we're starting to I like that more of these deals are being reported. It's really none of our business, but if other people are going to report what people are making, it's like, okay, cool. Thank you. Sweet. That gives context to what we're talking about here. A lot of the time, these numbers are inflated. The reported numbers are most of the time inflated, at least from the Auburn point of view, but whatever. Still gives you a ballpark. And it's like, okay, well, if the going rate for a talented quarterback is $1 million, it's like, just get another Eric Singleton out of the transfer portal. And like, let's just hope that Jackson Arnold stays healthy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm there with you. I'm totally there with you.
But they're not. I mean, right now they're still going after the top guys. So, and I guess in theory, that's probably the right thing to do. Because you never can plan if you're planning on Deuce hitting. If you're planning on the guy every other year hitting, one of those guys is not going to pan out. Now, then you just go to the transfer portal. But still, sometimes I don't know. My opinion of how to recruit and how to build a roster is like evolving with the times. It's not the same as it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, we were at home. Auburn was sitting on their couch watching the bowl season, the college football playoff. But you look at, it seemed like every game was filled with portal quarterbacks, and sometimes they had been there for a few years and sometimes not. But like, there were still transfers, right? Like, with Will Howard, obviously. I mean, the 2 guys in the national championship game were portal quarterbacks. The number 1 team throughout all of the season was Oregon, portal guy. And then on the other side of it, Georgia, who was up there, lost their starting quarterback to the portal.
Exactly. I mean, your starter's not even safe. That's what's crazy.
Yeah. And so to me, it's like, I know, and gosh, I can't wait to read the comments on this show because they're going to be all over the place. But it's fascinating, but there are going to be coaches who adapt to this better than others.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see exactly what that looks like. But would I love Jared Curtis to commit to Auburn and be a part of this class? Yes.
Sure.
But I don't think it's going to happen. And I think, I want to discuss like why I actually think like the Jerry Curtis thing is important. And it also is going to be related to CD Morgan and Tank Jones. We'll jump into that in just a moment right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Let me ask you a question.
Hit it.
Do you like spending more on tickets when you go to a game?
I would prefer less if I could.
Do you like going into buying a ticket thinking, gosh, I have no clue what the view is going to be like, or I'd like to know what the view is?
If I could see where I'm going to sit, that would be also
That'd be a plus.
Yes.
You're about to spend money. That'd be a plus to know what you're buying. Sure. Would you like to take $20 off your purchase with using promo code Locked On College? Would you like that?
You just hit the 3 things that I love.
Yeah, the trifecta. And Game Time offers you all 3 of those things. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word. Locked On College for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Kyle, what time is it?
Game Time. Had lunch with it.
What? You had lunch with what?
I had lunch with someone that used Game Time. He wanted me to tell you that. He said that he got it the first time he was going to a concert. And
what was their name? What was their name?
The person's name?
Yep.
I don't want to say their name out loud. Shout out Brian Watts. How about that?
I was just going to ask for the first name. All right, cool. Brian Watts. Love. I've always said I love Brian Watts for sure. I guess.
He loves the show.
Love him. Definitely love him. So like when you look at Jared Curtis and you look at CD Morgan, Sedarian Morgan, Benjamin Russell, I feel like we've talked about him like a year ago. I mean, that's how good this guy is. 6'5", 210 wide receiver.
He's so good. gracious.
It's
He's
like
good.
if you made a receiver in a lab, this
Create
is
a
what
player. He's a creative player.
Yeah. It's just like a cheat code. No one should be that long. It's insane. And he's so athletic and he moves his frame so well. It seems like Auburn's in a good spot for him. Somehow just a 4-star. Number 2 player in the state of Alabama, according to On3. But when we're going to talk about the number 1 guy in a second. But I think when you look at CD Morgan, you look at Jared Curtis, and then Tank Jones, number 1 player in the state. I mean, this staff just like, they're just not backing down. And that has been a theme since Hugh Freeze got here. And we're starting to see what stacking classes looks like when it comes to depth at certain positions. We're starting to see, I think we're a year away from fully seeing it when this 2026 class gets on campus and we've got the 24, 25, and 26 classes all on campus and the retention seems to be fine. I think if Auburn, as long as they don't do what they did a year ago, I think the retention is going to be fine. And it's like, wow, this relentless effort over the span of 3 or 4 years. It's like, here we go. We're starting to see what it looks like. And so it's putting them in a situation, maybe not so much with Jared Curtis. We'll see. We'll see what happens with the rest of that story. But CD Morgan, oh my goodness.
Hugh got hired at a really, really good time in the state of Alabama because the state has been deep the last couple of years, and I don't think making an emphasis in state is really by accident. I mean, once again, you have 7 players in the top 100 of overall players in the country in state. So when that is just almost unheard of in the state of Alabama when 7 of your guys are top 100 players. And Auburn, honestly, other than Zion Gibson, and I wouldn't even, hey, he's the number 4 player in the state. He's not safe. Hey, Alabama, you better hold on to him because I think Hugh went in home with him recently as well. So super deep again. And this Cedarian Morgan, that's just another guy, the number 2 player in the state that you built the relationship the minute you got here with him. You know what I mean? Through Malcolm and through Cedarian on his own. I mean, he's an NFL, like I said, creative player type receiver, 6'5", 210. I mean,
is Auburn the clear favorite for CD?
I think so. Yeah, they've had a bunch of crystal balls. Last summer, I think a lot of folks kind of thought maybe around Big Cat Weekend he could go ahead and pull the trigger. So I'm sure they're going to look to get him in the boat quickly. I think he's going to be here for that January 25th home game versus Tennessee, which is turning out to be Big Cat Weekend-esque. Like the visitor list is nuts, and he's on it. So
the awareness to use basketball as a recruiting tool, so nice.
And you got that Tennessee game too. Nice. Yeah, I hope it's going to be tricky. I hope Janai's healthy, where that would be pretty epic if that could be just a really nice, really
it's going to be electric anyway. But like it could time out where Janai comes back. Can you imagine that place? Can you imagine Neville when they announced Janai's name?
And then you got all those dudes there. That would be
awesome.
That'd be spectacular.
It'd be awesome. No question. Do you know what CD's relationship with Malcolm is? I mean, both Benjamin Russell guys. You got to assume they have one, right?
Yeah, Alex City's not that big of a town. I mean, it's a pretty big school though, but they're tight. So it definitely helps. It definitely helps. And it's going to play. I think it's definitely going to play a role into this recruitment for sure.
Man, this stinking recruiting class when it comes to receivers, though. I mean, Devin Carter over the weekend, Denarius Gray, those 2 guys already committed. And you add a CD,
and you got 2 others. There's 2 others. There's 2 other in-state receivers that are 4-star guys that you could be looking at as well. Like it's the state, man, is deep. This state is deep, and they are definitely not shying away from going after in-state players. I think there's a good chance you obviously not sweep, but you're probably going to get another 7 out of the top 10, 8 out of the top 10. If things go well and then you can perform, you can put it out on the field, you should have another big year in state as well.
Yeah, and I wonder, and maybe I'm bugging too hard on this and being too critical, but
you can never.
You're right. You're right. All that stuff about like the Alabama fan base saying like in-state doesn't matter. There's no way that doesn't impact some of these kids' decisions. There's no way. Am I too off the deep end on that?
I mean, it would affect me if you're telling me that I don't matter.
If I'm the number 2 player in the state or the number 1 player in the state, and you're like, oh, well, just go get the number 1 guy in California. Whatever. I don't care.
Again, and this goes back to my earlier point. It's not so much that it's in-state guys. It's not. It has
right.
It's way deeper than just in-state guys. We're talking top 100. You want to get as many of those top 100 players as you can. It just so happens there's 7 of them in the state of Alabama this year, and you've already got commitments. You got commitments from 2 of them, and you lead for a couple of more, and you could probably push and get a couple of commitments from. At least 1 or 2 of these guys, at any point in time, if you really wanted them, or really wanted them now to end it now.
Yeah, let's go through some of the top guys in the state, and that's how we'll also talk about Anthony Jones, Tank Jones. That's coming up next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Wayfair.
You're just what I need.
Just quick question. If you're ever like, man, I want to like make my home just a little better.
I really need that ottoman that completes my look.
Yeah. After the holiday hustle, there's nothing like giving your home a little TLC. And I always find that decluttering and refreshing my space helps me get back into a routine. So whether you're tidying up, cleaning out, or just want to give your space a new look to the year, Wayfair has everything that you need. Our dining room table, guess where I got it from?
Wayfair.
Yeah. Gotten a few couches from Wayfair. I may have gotten this desk that I'm sitting at on Wayfair. Don't actually remember. It is legit. And you're probably like, well, goodness, it probably costs more on Wayfair. No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
That's
the great part.
It is. Oh my goodness. Give your home the refresh it needs with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That is WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. Did you have lunch with somebody that talked about how much they use Wayfair?
No, but I wanted to sing the jingle. I was going to sing it, but
sing it real quick. Go ahead.
Wayfair, you got just what I need. I love that commercial.
You are the commercial
every time.
At this point. Okay.
Send the check.
Yeah. Anthony Jones, Tank Jones, the very talented edge defender, ranked as the number 1 player in the state. Keep in mind, the other talent, elite edge in the state is Hezekiah Harris, is already committed to Auburn. He's seen as the number 3 player in the state, according to On3. Let's talk about Tank Jones just for a second, then we'll run through the top 10. I kind of want you to give you some I want you to kind of give us your reaction of where everybody's going to go. But
sure,
where do you see the timeline with Anthony Jones?
I think he'll be a probably summertime, right before school starts, right before the season starts type guy. He could carry it to signing day, but I think that's going to be one that they're going to want to go ahead and try to end. Before the season starts. Every time I see this kid, every time I see pictures of this kid, he's around Shadarius Tootle, my man Tootle. They're tight. They're both those Mobile schools. They play each other in basketball. Hugh was at their basketball games the other day. I think he was at Tootle's basketball game, and then Tank Jones actually came to watch. So they're just always together. So that's obviously a really good sign because Tank is a beast. And if you could get the number 1 player in the state 2 out of the last 3 years, I think that would send a message.
All right, let's go through this, and I want you to tell me where they end up, or more importantly, if Auburn's going to get them or not.
Okay.
Anthony Jones, the number 1 player in the state, the edge from Mobile.
I'm going to bug a little bit. That one's going to be tough, but I'm going to say Auburn wins that one.
Okay. CD Morgan, the receiver Auburn. We just discussed from Ben Russell.
Auburn for right now.
Hezekiah Harris.
Obviously Auburn.
Yeah, committed to Auburn currently. Zion Gibson from Gadsden, the corner. He's committed to Alabama.
I'll say he stays with Alabama.
Okay. This is an interesting one. Bodney Cleveland from Parker, defensive lineman.
It was always
committed to
Auburn.
Alabama, right?
For 5 minutes. Yes, it was always going to be Auburn. So that's Auburn, 100%.
I think he's my favorite player in the state.
You
shouldn't be that big at that age and be able to move like he does. It's
Can you
crazy.
imagine that Parker defensive line last year in high school? You had Vonnie Cleveland and Jordan Crawford beside each other. That's dumb. Like, how did anyone ever score on?
Oh, can you imagine the like sophomores that had to like block that on a few schools? Oh my goodness gracious!
Coach, take me out.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to do this.
Come get me. Come get me. I'm out.
Shadarius Tootle,
Auburn. That's my
your
man.
guy. Your
That's my
guy.
man. Yep, that's my man. He's gonna hang in there. That dude's gonna be a stud too. He looks so big. He looks so big already. He's
linebacker.
It says
sure.
6'3", it says 6'3", 220. I wouldn't be surprised if he's taller, and that 220 could be 220 or 230. I mean, he is put together.
I don't want to mispronounce his name. Is it Jaquez Wilkes? Is that pronounced? Yeah. From Wadley, the linebacker. Auburn's in it for him too.
So this one's going to be interesting because he plays really small school ball. He plays, I think 1A, 1A, and maybe 2A. I think it's 1A though, and he plays both ways. So he plays linebacker and running back. He had like an incredible state championship game. He was unstoppable. I think it was 1A. I'm pretty sure it's 1A. So Tennessee is the other team that's sort of in this one. It just depends on if that position, that's what Auburn needs at linebacker, because he's going to be a project, even though he's a freak athlete. Mm-hmm. I think ultimately he probably still ends up at Auburn.
Okay. Landon Duckworth, the quarterback, you mentioned him earlier today. You kind of sold him to me. I'm not going to lie to you. But I think South Carolina really likes him. Is that who he's talking to the most? He was committed to South Carolina, and I think he decommitted, or he was either committed to South Carolina or committed to Central Florida. I can't remember which one, and decommitted. So he's up in the air. So like those two are the ones that are obviously at the top. But Auburn's offered him recently, so that's good. So Auburn offered him a couple of weeks ago, maybe last month or so. I don't see the activity there on Auburn's side to make me think that they're going to push now for him, and that hurts my feelings because I think this kid's a freak, and I'd love to have him. I've seen him dunk a basketball to where his head's above the rim. He's a really, really good athlete, and I wish if it was me running the board, I would end it. I would go ahead and have him in the class and end it, and he'd be our quarterback. He'd be the quarterback. Yeah, I get it. I don't think I disagree with you. Still like the 10th ranked quarterback in the class. It's like, just take it in state, whatever. Seriously. And for the reasons we discussed earlier, like, I think it makes sense. Jamichael Garrett, the linebacker. He's my favorite player in the class. Is he? So, there was committed to Auburn. There was talk he would maybe be transferring to Auburn High, but I think he's actually staying at Gulf Shores. He's my favorite player in the class. He could play linebacker or safety. Big kid. He's really good. Yeah. Yep. And then Marquez Daniel, the very talented wide receiver from Booker T. Washington. Auburn's in a really good spot for him too. Yeah. I mean, so you just named legitimately 8 out of 10 that I think Auburn's going to get. Yeah. So you said no to Landon Duckworth and Zion Gibson. Is that those the only two you said? Yeah, I think you're going to get 8 out of 10. If you want Jaquez Wilkes and Marquez Daniels, I think you can get both. You get them. Yeah. What a great spot! What a great spot to be in. Yeah. I mean, Alabama's on a historic run for in-state talent. Football's getting a lot better, a lot more competitive in Alabama, and Auburn, the timing is perfect. And it's not just guys like in the Birmingham area. Like it's the whole, like all of these guys are all throughout the state, which is super interesting. Yeah. I mean, Wadley and Tuskegee, like those typically typically don't put out the most elite talent. You got Joe Phillips out of Booker T. Washington two seasons ago. So, and you got your Huntsville area, your Mobile area, Alexander City. I mean, you got them from all over. And then obviously you got, like I already mentioned, Mobile. So, so yeah, you got them. They're spread out all over. Yep. If folks want more recruiting nuggets and access to you to ask Cruton questions, because you're all over it, what's the best way for them to sign up and get access to that?
We'll go to thebarnauburn.com. Take advantage of the $25 off for 2025. So you can get an annual membership for only $75. We just had to Old Yeller, the portal mega thread. Because the portal's done. So that was almost 400 pages. So now we're shifting gears to 2026 recruiting. I just put out some of the top targets to watch on offense. I'm working on defense, making a couple of calls, trying to hone in the defensive side. And then we'll have that up pretty soon as well. So you kind of got to go ahead and start learning that 2026 class.
Yeah. We've got to transition from portal to 2026 recruiting now. We'll transition back to portal after spring. But right now we're back in the recruiting. And so, yeah, we'll be doing a lot more recruiting content over the next few weeks for that reason. And it's all over at thebarnauburn.com for sure. Please like this video. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.